A very good evening and welcome to Try Time with me, your host Mohamed Abubakar. Try Time, number one rugby show here in Kenya. We talk all matters rugby. Remember, we have an exciting show for you lined up. You can also be part of the conversation. The hashtag is TryTimeKE. We'll be talking about the Kenya Cup third round results, and of course, we'll be looking at the fourth round fixtures in the Kenya Cup and not the best start for Kenya in the World Rugby Series. We'll be talking about all that with this gentleman here, Benjamin Ayimba and Lavin Asego.
Asante sana.
We're back again.
Yes. Yes. Kama kawaida.
Kama kawaida. Yes. Third round of games. It's shaping up very nicely now in the Kenya Cup. We have two games that we'll be focusing on that were live on Bamba Sport on Saturday. Before we look at the other results across the country, we start off with the Nondis against Oilers. Nondis going on with their business here. Third win in a row. Lavin.
Yeah, I think for Nondis, it's good for them that they've got the third win. And I remember last week I predicted a win for them, especially because it was coinciding with their annual dinner, where they had the former England international Mike Carter as the chief guest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was only befitting for them to win. However, having said that, I have a bit of concern about how long it took them to score any points. I mean, they were camped in the Oilers half. Actually, they are 22 for about 20 minutes. And it only took them 20 plus minutes, after 20 minutes for them to get a penalty. That was a bit worrying for them. And I'm sure Coach Foxy will address that this particular week. Also, I felt their number 8, there was a bit of indecision between their 8 and 9, because he had very good breaks off the scrum, but a bit of knock-ons and ball not going to hand. So definitely something for Coach Willis to look at this week. But all in all, a good win for them. It's 3 out of 3.
Benjamin, quite a slow start for them, especially in the first half.
It's now expected. You remember what you were saying about depth and being used to that kind of environment?
Yeah.
It is now showing that even with a win, they had to struggle to get it. They've got good momentum, which can only last so long. It is also good that they got the third win, because from now on end it becomes more difficult.
It becomes difficult.
Yes.
What has been ticking for them though this season, these past 3 games?
I think you can't discount the impetus of the coach. Willis Ojali is quite a good coach. Has worked with younger players, and then his philosophy resounds well with the younger players that he's gotten this season. And as Lavin says, he's got a very good number 8 who's playing exceptionally well. And the flankers, and Ben Nyambu also is working with the scrum. Ben Nyambu is a renowned Kenya scrummager. So that combination of coaches and a good crop of young players is really propelling them.
Oilers as well, Lavin, because a team like Nondis finishing the half, at par with them.
One thing I commended the Oilers for is how their scrum held against the Nondis.
Yeah.
Because remember, Nondis scored tries against KCB in the forwards. And their forwards, so far, the first 3 games, they've dominated. But we had instances where the Oilers are actually pushing them in the scrum. The Oilers also had very good defense. Keeping Nondis scoreless up to 20 minutes plus is not easy. But like Benja said, their game versus Harlequins, Harlequins could not score in the 5 yards of the Oilers. But you see, that also works against you, because if you defend and defend and defend, it takes a toll on your body. That's why you find towards the second half, I felt they got a bit tired, got a bit careless, and obviously the results didn't go their way. But I mean, all in all, they started well, but finishing it off, it's what's an issue for them at the moment.
Because Benjamin, in the first half, they had matched Nondis. In the second half, they were a little bit sluggish.
That's now what 15
comparing with the game they played against.
They played against Harlequins. Yes. So because even at Harlequins, they came really hard at us. We scored 8 points against them before the half. They got a bit of wind when we threw a few careless passes and didn't score. So they're the sort of team that you've got to be very clinical on how you protect the football. That is first. And 2, like Lavin says, that scrum is not a joke. They're new, they're young boys, and they're very, and Uhuru is on coaching them. We've got a former Mwamba guy.
Oh, right.
Nicknamed Uhuru. He's the one who coaches them, and he's been doing a brilliant job. They're very fleet-footed, so it's a scrum that doesn't have to be playing too much set piece. They fling the ball around, and they're very good runners. So they're bound to cause problems, but only for a certain period of time. When it gets to 60th minute, now proper rugby footballers step into the field.
They've managed to get a win. So
well, that is a good thing.
Yeah,
that is a good thing.
What should he stick with and what should he not
I think
use?
well, his trajectory is good.
Gibu.
Yeah, Gibu's trajectory is good. Claiming that scalp of Harlequins, and it might only be the only chance maybe to do that to a bigger team.
Yeah,
I think was very commendable because then it also gives the boys a lot of heart to go out there and play. Yeah, you remember some teams have not won a game this season, so
very true.
It's a very difficult league. Yeah,
it's a very difficult league, Lavin.
Very difficult league. But one thing I like to tell Gibu, if you're to give yourself a chance to play, to post good results, also play rugby in the right part of the field.
Yeah.
Because if you have a good scrum and you can cause problems to teams, there's you don't have any use playing in your own half because that's where teams put pressure on you. Yeah.
All right, let's have a listen to what the coaches had to say after that match.
Nondis came out, played well. They executed the game plan. They kept us in our half. Their set pieces worked well, and we couldn't handle their pressure.
I mean, it was a tight affair in the first half. What do you make of the second half? Because in the second half, it was a little bit slow on your team.
They actually pinned us in our half. We were unable to get over our half. And when we needed to run, we kicked. When we needed to kick, we ran. And then we couldn't just get the rhythm together. So it was very hard. And then Nondis kept on shifting gears, kept on playing better than they did in the first half, and they deserved to win.
Hey, they came at us very hard, very hard. Even so, halftime, a few things had to be changed here and there. Oilers, now I understand why they beat Queens. They're not a joke.
And then in the first half, it was a little bit tight by the time first half ended. In the second half, you came out, you are a different animal. I mean, you are banging in the points. And what did you say to your team at halftime?
No, basically, I thought we were starting to lose our cool in the first half, and I just reminded them what we talked about the whole week. We talked about them coming hard at us, and we started playing like we thought it was our right to win. So they had to go back to default settings and behave like it was game one again. Come back with the humility, because this game, you cannot just thump. You have to come with your humility, stay to your structure.
You've started this season very strongly. What has been the secret this season, Coach?
No, just like I mentioned, it's just teamwork, just people working together, going on the same cause. And that was the difference also in the second half. We said just stick to the plan, stick for one another, play for one another, brotherhood, and that's it.
Benjamin, your reactions to the coach's sentiments?
I think, as Ujal says, sometimes the default setting is what you need to go back to basics and do what you do well. And if they are able to pin the Oilers in the 22, that's the reason why they won that game. And if they did it as deliberate as he says they did, that's perfect for them. Now Gibu has to learn, like Lavin says, to play the ball in the other half, especially with Nondis, which are heavier, much lower side. Yeah, put the ball behind them, let them retrieve and come back, because it's much more difficult. Many times you have to kick to you, so the possession is always returned to you. So I think well done to Willis. He read the Oilers game very well, and of course, that was a decent loss even for the Oilers. And that shows you what sort of mettle they are.
They are. Your reactions, Lavin?
I like what Coach Willis has said. It's not your right to win a game. You have to work at it. Yeah. And I felt that they took Oilers for granted a bit in the first half. So definitely it was a wake-up call for them. Luckily for them, it was not punishable by a loss. So teamwork for them has worked well. For Gibu, it's like they're reading off the same script. Play rugby in the right side of the field, and you give yourself a chance.
It's like you almost feel after the two big wins for them, they were a little bit complacent going into this one.
Especially winning against Homeboys and KCB.
And KCB.
They're like, this is Oilers. I mean, this should be an easy.
This is something that should never happen in this league.
It's never given in the
You always grow lethargic by winning. You always grow lethargic. It's just for you to realize at what point do you make the turnaround, because winning has got its perils, and one of them is being relaxed whenever you're going to meet a team that you think is smaller. So that is the kind of jolt they needed to turn around and try and get things set.
Exactly. All right, our second match that we'll be focusing on, that was live on Bamba Sport. Impala beating Strathmore Leos by 16-9 now. The teams that are yet to record a win, one of them, Strathmore, another loss for them, Lavin.
Actually, compared to the last game they played against Mean Machine, first of all, they had a kicking tee, which is good. But I felt
they carried one this time.
Yeah. Strathmore was much better in this game. Within the first 7 minutes, they were 6 points up, meaning their kicker was on song. Yeah. They had good go-forward ball, but I felt the thing that turned the game around on its head was the intercept that Lucas Opal gave to the Impala winger or fullback. I think that's where the game changed, and Impala, unfortunately, unfortunately for Leos, Impala, they brought Impala back into the game, and once again they were not able to get the results that they needed. But all credit to Impala under the captaincy of Omer. You notice that quite a bulk of their players are missing. This is a very young squad, but they did the business. That's what you need from any side that you put on the pitch on match day.
Benjamin, your reaction to the results, the game?
Typical example of what you're saying about depth. Impala, having lost so many players who are away, they're still able to bring a side. And it's only they didn't know the right time to put the pressure, because Strathmore didn't know the right time to put the pressure. When you get a team at its weakest, so to speak, that is the time you need to know, I should not let the gas off the pedal. So it was very unfortunate for Johnny's guys. They didn't realize exactly what time they needed to do. But Impala was really vulnerable at that point. So like Lavin says, one intercept makes a huge difference.
Exactly. 3 wins in a row for Impala as well. Strong start for them, Lavin. What has been working for them?
I think they're reaping the fruits of a good youth system. Because the first 3 games they've played with players who, quote unquote, are not their regulars, but they've been able to deliver the points. So, I mean, as the league goes on, I'm sure some of their players from the Simbas will come back just to strengthen the squad.
You almost feel like it's a system at Impala. Whoever plays just that system.
Yes, it is a system, and it's about trusting in the system. And that's why I like their youth system and players coming in and getting their way into the senior side. I mean, if they can put in 3 out of 3 wins, we haven't seen Onsomo yet in this particular team. We haven't seen the likes of Akina Nyandegisi. So it's a good place that Impala are in at the moment.
What hasn't been happening for John Bai with Leos, looking at the first 3 games for him?
I think for him, it's just his unit needs to come together a little more. I think that they played very disjointed as a team. The backs are good, the forwards are good, but as a team, they don't come together. They seem to the forwards seem to do their job and let the backs do their job. There's no systematic, fluid play. So I hope he can run the ball a little more amongst the units, because right now the backs are working on their own and the forwards are working on their own.
There needs to be that.
Yes, he needs to make them gel a little more.
All right, let's have a listen to what he had to say on, of course, his opponent.
Well, better performance than last week. I think a bit more organized, a bit more patient with the way we wanted to play. We're still suffering from just indiscipline, particularly the breakdown. And we're able to give Impala territory and give them chances to play. Also disappointed that they scored off a mistake on attack, the intercept that led them to go and score. But better performance, you can only ask the players to keep on getting better. So we'll just continue working at it. The bonus point is going to go a long way going into the second leg. But I'm happy that they were able to at least play much better than last week.
It's good to have the points. To be honest, today was a tough game. So we'll take the 4 points,
And what do you make of the game as well, from the first half and coming into the second half strongly?
We really didn't leave second gear today. We waltzed with Strathmore for 80 minutes, kept them in the play. When you're playing the territory, we didn't execute our chances, a bit of decision-making issues that you need to fix.
And 3 wins in a row, like I said, chasing Nondis, not giving them breathing space as well. But what have you made of your team this particular season with such a strong start?
Actually, we haven't got the right combination yet. We have a lot of injuries, so we haven't got the right combination. So hopefully we'll be able to get that by next week, and the week after. Next week we play Machine and Cabras afterwards.
All right, gentlemen. We'll start off with Lavin. Your reactions to the coaches.
I think Johnny is quite right. His players need to be patient. Remember, he's working with a very young squad. I think for some of them, this is their first real test in the Kenya Cup. So I think just be patient and trust in your systems. Like he said, it's a bonus point, 1 bonus point that they picked up, which is good. He would prefer a win, but he'll take the losing bonus point. But for Coach Ndong, he's put it very well that you need to keep pace with the teams at the top of the league, because eventually at the end of it all, when you're in the playoffs, it benefits you to get a home semi-final. So Impala so far 3 out of 3 with a relatively young squad. They're in a good place. But for Johnny, I hope he can get a win real soon. Hopefully just not against Mwamba.
At least they got a kicking
team. Yes.
So next time now the tactics should
When they get penalties, they should be able to have some attempts.
Yeah. Your reactions, Benjamin?
I think for Johnny, it's a big positive, of course, having improved from last week and getting this bonus point, like you remember what you said last week. And this bonus point, be it a loss, the loss or a win one, adds up. So it gets to those tight points when everybody's awake and everybody's chasing points. That extra bonus point will do. And I think for him, he also ought to be patient with his players because they're young, as Lavin says. This is probably the first shot at the Kenya Cup, playing guys who are really seasoned. So he has to give them a bit of time also to learn the game. It's difficult that you have to learn whilst playing, but it can't be done any other way. So for him, I think it's better improvement from last week, and if he carries on with the same trajectory, I think we're going to see better results with his team.
All right, those were just but 2 games over the weekend. We'll have a look at the other results across the country in the Kenya Cup. We'll start off with Mwamba and KCB. This one ending 33-13 in favor of KCB.
just like Benja predicted, Coach Curtis was not going to let this Simba's players not play this game. When I looked at the match, they scored. The Andrew Amonde came back, Amusala, Darwin, Tony made his debut for KCB. So it was a very strong side that went up against Mwamba. Once again, Mwamba a slow in the first half. Only picking up in the second half. But unfortunately, in this league, it's high, it's competitive. You're playing against the two-time champions who came back from South Africa. So
this time round, when did it happen? First half or second half?
No, it was in the second half again. Because first half we only had 3 points.
3 points.
So we scored 10 points.
10 points in the second half.
So I mean, I don't know. I think
if only.
I think somehow. Oilers and Mwamba should match because Oilers have a good first half, Mwamba have a good second half. In the spirit of handshake.
Benjamin, that result, you saw that coming?
Yeah, I saw that coming. Like I said, Curtis was never going to let his guys rest. He needed the win badly. One, because of reputation, and two, you can't leave it too far. Like Lavin says, you got to keep with your peers at the front. Another loss would have meant that he goes one step further. So right now, he's in a good place because his players are back, and many others are back too. So teams are going to be back to full strength.
So across the Kenya Cup, it's going to be more tough right now.
Tougher, and for those who are enjoying the lack of Simbas being in teams, they ought to be waiting. I was at training yesterday, and I was scared myself to know who's going to make the team for Harlequins on the weekend.
All right. Speaking of Harlequins, you beat Homeboys. 35-15.
Wow, that was
very quickly. You are there, of course. How did that game go, and your reactions?
I think Homeboy started very well, and you can tell the morale in the team is pretty low. I don't know, is it for the reason that one of the teams was the Sevens, and the head coach now moved to Kenya? Of course, he
was in Dubai.
Yes, the new head coach was in Dubai. So. I don't know that as an organization, but they really didn't come to the party. And what Harlequins is that they kept raising the fire. And at some point, it got to a point where Homeboys could not stand the scrums, and the Bucks were just running hard at them. So it was a really bad outing for Homeboys.
All right, we'll take a short break. Let me just read very quickly some of the other results. We have Cabras here who are banging in the points, 50-8 against Nakuru. We have Black Blood beating Mean Machine by 32-19. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at the table and, of course, the upcoming fixtures. Don't go anywhere.
Is live on Bamba Sport. Get all the tries, the conversions, the wins of the new rugby season live. This Saturday, RFUEA grounds. Catch Mean Machine versus Impala starting 2 p.m. Then at 4 p.m, Harlequins taking on KCB. Watch live at RFUEA grounds on Bamba Sport, Bamba TV Channel 6, or stream live at bambakenya.co.ke.
All right, welcome back to Try Time with me, your host, Mohamed Abubakar. We've been talking the Kenya Cup Round 3 results over the weekend. Now, we have to have a look at what these results mean for the standings in the Kenya Cup. We'll have that table, or rather standings, right up on your screen in a few. There it is. Kabras, we'd like to talk about Kabras, gentlemen, and I'll start off with you, Benjamin, because, I mean, the points, the difference, you can see how huge it is.
I think they're doing it deliberately as well, because the tougher games are yet to come for them.
Yeah.
And when you really have that huge gap, it helps to get you a better semi-final placing when you get to the playoffs. So it is something that I know for sure they're looking at, the big margins. But again, when it matters, then we'll know exactly what happens. Because at 110, and the closest one is 31. At this point now, we just look at the extreme right of the table, which is
the points.
The points, yes.
Looking at the points, what do you make of the table, Lavin?
I think Nondi's are in unfamiliar territory. No shade to Foxy. But I think it's good for them because they're in the right spot for the table, at least with regards to playoffs. Like Benja said, as the league wears on, now teams, they'll encounter more difficult games. But you know, it's easier to encounter more difficult games when you're already up there, rather than when you're in the lower part of the table. You see, they have 14 points, meaning they didn't pick all the bonus points that are available. But I think all in all, it's not a crisis for them, at least not for now. There are 31 points difference. I mean, it's decent if you compare with the rest of the table. So
KCB at 37. All right.
Yes, KCB at 37. Impala not scoring many points, but at the moment, like Ben just said, the points at the right end of the table
the difference
is good.
Makes a huge...
the points difference, it makes a difference when it gets to how you play your semi-finals.
No, actually, I remember there was a time that Mwamba and Nakuru were tied.
Yes.
And the only thing that saved Mwamba and took them to the playoffs was the point difference.
You can look at the KCB and Harlequins. You see the tie at 11 points each. But KCB have a better goal difference.
Yeah, that's why they're
which is
if we look at the tables further down the table, which are some of the teams that are also in an unfamiliar territory? Do not say Mwamba.
definitely KCB.
No, I'm just joking.
Yes, but Mwamba definitely is in a place where they ought not to be. And for some reason, I think they'll pull themselves up. I'll give a few guys shockers and get up to the number 7-6 position. So Homeboys, if Homeboys does not improve in the coming weekend, they might drop a little.
I wanted to ask, because before the Kenya Cup started, we were all talking about how Homeboys are one of the favorites for this one.
Yes.
How can they pick themselves up now from where they are?
I think for the Homeboys, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, they've had to work with different teams in all the 3 games, based on the fact that some are with the Simbas, then went to the Sevens. So at some point, they really have to pick themselves up, because 7th, that's not a familiar place for them, at least not with the squad that they have, because it's a star-studded squad, in my opinion. So I think they should be further up, but nothing is given. You have to work your way up.
Exactly.
It's not a
and they have a chance to do that, because round 4 is coming thick and fast here. Next weekend, this coming weekend, a lot might change in that table depending on the results in round 4. So we'd like to start off with the 2 games that will be live on Bamba Sport. We have Mean Machine, who are hosting Impala, and of course Queens against KCB. This is another test for Queens.
Massive test for Queens. Lucky for us as Curtis we've got some of our stalwart players back. I think this season we've got a lot of depth. Harlequins has massive depth. I think that will play a good role in getting us to where we need to be in for the playoffs. So this is a tough one.
How do you prepare for a team
especially
like KCB?
Especially for KCB, like yesterday, we had a really heavy session. We had a session that lasted about two hours and a quarter. It was really, really heavy. Both getting ourselves physically ready and thinking of how we want to play. Tonight we're doing facet plays, so the scrum was in its own and the backs are on their own. So we're looking at a good weekend for this.
Right. I won't let you talk too much because I don't want you to give game plans away. I know Curtis might be watching.
I know.
But very quickly, for the two live games that will be on Bamba Sport, your predictions on how they will go. Mean Machine Impala and Queens KCB.
I think Impala at the moment they're in a good place. Mean Machine, they're a bit disjointed.
Yeah.
If this was a home game for them, maybe they would have given Impala a bit of trouble. But I think Impala have the quality. And if they stick to their game plan, one thing they need to do is just stick to their game plan. Because if you try to play like Mean Machine, you can't beat Mean Machine at their own game.
Yeah.
The Queens KCB one, it will be a very, very tough match. And but I'm sure Queens is up for it. Their back rows, I don't know if they'll play Patrice at back row, but that's secrets for Thursday.
Don't give too much.
So they don't shy away from the contract. And if you're able to match KCB up front, I think the Queens backs, they have a great chance. Good to see David Ambunya back. In the midfield, so it will be a crack of a game.
Next game, Mwamba Nondis. It's not getting any easier for Mwamba because Nondis are on good form. You'll be hosting Nondis.
Well,
that one.
Yes. This will be the weekend Nondis experience their first.
Oh, this is the weekend.
This is the weekend. Yeah. But I
Sunday is over.
Yeah, I think Mwamba, if they're to give themselves a good shot, their scrum needs to be very disciplined because Nondis have a very good scrum. And Mwamba back row, they have to be chipu because Steve at number 8, he's very quick off the scrum. So the back rows have to be really, really wary.
And we have to talk about Cabras, the results they've been recording. They'll be facing Strathmore Leos again. Oh my goodness, university sides, like we said.
Yes, the Cabras are in a good place because the fixtures really favor them. They're getting the lighter side of the table. I hope it doesn't get to their heads, because if it does, when they come to the heavier ones, it's going to be chaos. And as you're seeing, the teams at the bottom, remember what we're talking about, teams in unfamiliar places? Yeah. Teams like Mamba, for example, you take them for granted and they'll take you to school. So that's the sort of danger. That's the sort of danger they're in now. I just hope that they have the mindset to know that they have to keep the pressure.
Nakuru Black Blood getting a win, obviously, against University side. Yes.
I think it was uncharacteristic for Top Fry to go to Cabras and soak in 50 points. That hasn't happened in a while. So they'll be very, very keen to right that wrong. Yeah. And unfortunately, Black Blood will be on the receiving end, in my opinion, because they are traveling to Nakuru. Yeah. Suguta Valley, now they call it the Nest. I don't know why they call it the Nest. That's not a very intimidating name.
It's not. It's a very cuddly.
Yeah, cuddly. Comfortable.
Yeah, but Black Blood will face a very tough afternoon because Nakuru want to bounce back quickly from that huge drubbing away against Cabras.
Finally, we've noted that Oilers are a very tough side. They can be very tough. Homeboys again facing Oilers. You think they have a chance here to?
Yes, they have. Oilers have a chance to scalp Homeboys. If Homeboys come to the game like they did last weekend, the Oilers will definitely have them for lunch.
Lavin?
I think for one way for Oilers to give themselves a chance, like Gibu said, you need to play rugby the right side of the field because Homeboys have very big boys who like to run those angles. And imagine defending them throughout, you'll get tired. So just keep them in their half, be disciplined, and you give yourselves a decent shot. But it won't be very easy because this is your first...
They're very angry lots now.
Yes, they are angry because they lost to Queens. This is the first time for the Oilers playing the Homeboys. But anything is possible. Like Benja said, ukilala, utakulishwa cable.
To my favorite part of the show, gentlemen, predictions. Let's start off with the first one. Mean Machine Impala.
Impala.
Queens KCB.
Queens.
Yeah.
KCB.
Mwamba Nondis, you don't have to say
Mwamba. I think Nondis will love it.
Nondis will have it. 4 out of 4 for them there. Strathmore Cabras.
Cabras.
Yeah,
Cabras.
Nakuru Black Blood.
Nakuru.
Yes. They're at home. The Nest.
Yeah, the Nest.
The Nest. They'll cuddle. They'll cuddle in the Nest.
Oilers Homeboys.
Homeboys.
All right. You can also participate in the predictions. The hashtag is TryTimeKE. Make sure you go on our social media handles and let us know what you think about the upcoming fixtures in the Kenya Cup. Very quickly before we wrap up the show, gentlemen, we have to talk about the World 7 Series. We started off in Dubai. not the best of starts. Very, very poor outing in Dubai. We are out again in Cape Town this coming weekend. What has been your assessment of our performances?
It was always going to be tough. It was always going to be tough. We gave it our all, definitely. And unfortunately, because of what is going on in the rugby union as an office, you don't get things in good time. The players don't have contracts, the coaches don't have contracts. So it was expected for us to do dismally. It is, however, up to us to pull ourselves out of that hole that we've dug ourselves in, because eventually it is about representing a country. So I think, and I feel that South Africa will be a better will be better performance. They'll put a little more heart into it.
Because, sorry.
I mean, it's not the first time we've done badly in Dubai. Actually, there's several times we've done badly in Dubai. In fact, the best season when I was coach, which is 2016, we started this badly in Dubai and got to the semi-finals in Cape Town after being seeded 4th and against, I think, 3 top-tier teams. So these things do happen. So I just hope that this week they've had a good rest and they've thought well about what they want to produce as a team.
Because, Lavin, if you look at the results in Dubai, we are scoring the tries. We are scoring 19s and 20s.
Yes.
It's just we are conceding a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, you see, it's you know, defense is an art. And for you to get a defensive pattern, it needs everyone in the team clicking and having the same mindset. Unfortunately, this is a new team, so players are just getting into the rhythm, and it's a new team, it's a new coach. So you're coming from your club where you defend a certain way. You have to fit into the national team setup. Like Benja said, it was a very tough first weekend, but they should take the positives. Don't look down upon yourself that you only got 1 point.
It would be fair. It would be fair to think and look at the scores. Other than the Scotland score, every other score is decent. Of course, Fiji being the top team. You see, we're just losing by a try. Sometimes we're just losing by an unconverted try. Like the France game, we lost by 4 points. So simple things like those. And I don't think they should beat themselves too much. I know Kenyans are on their case about how things are happening, but those are pretty decent scores. Of course, against people really think Spain and Japan are weak teams. They're not. They worked really hard.
I thought
Spain.
Spain was a core team.
Japan is a core team.
Is a core team. So there's no easy games.
There's no easy games.
But also just for the rookies who've it's on their debut. Just pick the positives that you got. Even though you got 2 minutes, Wahinya, you got 30 seconds for conversion. Savor that moment, because that's the experience. Once you get into that rhythm, you get used to playing at that level. You won't fear anyone, and it can only get better from there. Don't look at the 1 point that you got. Look at what you can do better in Cape Town.
And you too, with what you've achieved with Sevens, they wouldn't get better people to get motivational talk. Maybe very quickly, just give them something to listen to.
For me, I think when you get a loss, you just know one more way of how not to do it. I think this time it is our defense that let us down. If you're a little more aggressive, I spoke to one or two of the players. If you're a little more aggressive in how you defend and defend a little narrower, and just take responsibility of your tackle, that should be able to solve it. It's a very small margin between winning and losing, especially with the small margins. It just means there's one tackle that you miss that was so important. So if you ensure that you're not missing your tackles and you're working as a team, it should be very easy to do it. But I think for me, I'd rather they go through that early in the season, so that they know the do's and don'ts. And as the leg comes, now we're more seasoned to know what not to do.
All right, gentlemen, perfect. How do you see Cape Town going? The 3 fixtures in the pool, France, Fiji.
That's going to be a tough one. Going to be a tough one. But I still think we still got all these teams are beatable. So it's just
like you said, there was a time you guys would look at these teams and you'd be like,
and say, who are we meeting in the quarterfinals? You know, so we'd go and think, okay, England is a given, France is a given, Fiji will fight, but we know we're in the quarterfinals. So that mindset will come through. But again, it doesn't come through by you winning the initial matches. And the harder you go, when you go out there and you realize how hard it is. You know, some of these players, I've just been watching Lavin and the rest of the guys play and saying, but I'm better than Lavin. Now they know
work on yourself.
Now they know they're not.
Now they know they're not. Are we going to have a better outing in Cape Town?
Definitely, in my opinion, definitely will have a better outing. Remember last weekend we didn't win any game. I don't foresee the same happening, but it won't be easy because if you look at that pool, England, Fiji, and France, it's a very tough pool. The top 2 teams made it to the quarterfinals. I think the same as last weekend. So just take your opportunities, learn from your mistake. Sometimes also learn from other people's mistakes. And just pick on what you can. Go out there, represent your country despite everything. Because unfortunately, once you step into that pitch, no one cares whether you have been paid. No one cares how your contract is. It's just us we know, but the opponents don't know, and honestly, they don't care. So once you take take the pitch, you give your best because your best is all you can give. That's all you can give.
You guys couldn't have said it any better. Anyways, time is up. Unfortunately, we have to wind up today's show. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for the fantastic analysis.
Thanks for having us.
We do hope, or rather wish the best for our boys in Cape Town this weekend. Let's meet with Try Time next week, same time right here. Until then, bye-bye.